Have you ever had a thought creep into your mind and it just kind of got stuck there? And it wasn't a good thought. It was one of those kind of self-deprecating thoughts that wedged itself into your brain and just kind of took over everything about you. And it was the only thing you could think of. Well, that's called a thought distortion. And that's a pretty dangerous way to ruin your self-image and to destroy your confidence. Hey guys, my name is Justin Collard with Thrive Success Services, and today we're going to talk about 5 thought distortions that can destroy your confidence in an instant. The first thought distortion that you need to avoid is all or nothing thinking. This is when you think that a situation is either all good or all bad. For example, maybe you tried out for the varsity athletic team at school and you didn't make it, but you did get placed on one of the other teams. All or nothing thinking says, I'm terrible, I'm not good at anything, and I might as well quit sports because I didn't make it to the varsity team. That's a thought distortion. A way to reframe your mind with all or nothing thinking is to think in this way. I didn't make the varsity team yet, but I have the opportunity to work on the skills I'm missing so that I can try out again and make the varsity team next year. The second thought distortion you need to avoid is overgeneralization. This is when you make sweeping conclusions about a situation or a thought that you have in your mind. For example, let's say you take a test and you bomb it. An overgeneralization would be, well, I failed this test, so I guess I'm just terrible at everything. No, you're not. That's a thought distortion. It's something that's not actually true about yourself, but it's a thought that you've let penetrate into your mind. To overcome an overgeneralization, you use the same idea that you use in the all or nothing thinking, and you remind yourself that maybe you didn't do as well as you'd hoped to on this test, but when you truly start to reflect on what you did to prepare, I bet there were some missing elements. How often did you study? How well did you know the material? Did you ever attend tutorials? And if you were just to reflect on the steps you took to prepare for the test, I bet you realize that you're not as bad as you think. You just missed a few steps of the study process. The third thought distortion to avoid is discounting the positive. This is when you ignore or reject the positive things that happen in your life. Listen, I know that things aren't always easy, but you have to look at the little wins that you do achieve. Maybe in math you haven't been doing so well, and you got a 70 on a paper after you failed a whole bunch. Well, that's a win, right? You made some progress. You were failing before, and now you're at a 70. It might not be where you want to end up being, but it's definitely better than making a 0, right? Another thing is you got to give yourself grace when it comes to positive. I know that for some of you out there, a win is the fact that you just got up out of bed and you showed up at school. That can be very difficult and very challenging depending on what phase of life you're in. So remember, notice the little things and celebrate the wins along the way. That's a great way to overcome this thought distortion. The fourth thought distortion I want to discuss with you today are comparisons. Comparisons are dangerous things because they only lead down one path, and that is the path to feel inadequate. Now listen, when you constantly compare yourself with others, especially with the access that we all have to social media, all you're doing is making micro judgments in your brain of whether or not you are living up to each post that you swipe, that you watch, and that you respond to. When we begin to compare ourselves based on others, we can create huge issues in our lives. These issues can not only lead to feelings of inadequacy, it can have a major negative impact on your mental health. So when you're looking through social media, or you're looking at the way someone else is dressed, or the car someone else drives, or the success somebody else has, you need to remind yourself that you're not that person. Everybody is on a different path of growth. Your path is not going to look the exact same as anyone else's path. Now, there's nothing wrong with aspiring to gain some of those things or to emulate some of those things in your own life. But if all you're doing is comparing to what somebody else has or does to what you don't have or don't do, that's a quick way to make yourself feel awful. So try to avoid that as much as you can. The fifth and final thought distortion that we are going to discuss today is unrealistic expectations. Listen, if you are setting impossibly high standards for yourself that are way beyond your ability to reach, you are automatically setting yourself up for failure. Now, please don't hear what I'm not saying. I am not telling you not to shoot for the stars and to set highly achievable goals. But if you are setting those goals so far out from your current level of skill mastery that you're going to fail every time and feel miserable because you're not achieving those goals, you are not setting yourself up for success. It's great to have long-term goals. When I talk to my one-on-one coaching clients, we set long-term goals, but we also set short-term goals, such as what are you going to do just today? What is today's goal? When you wake up and you put your feet on the ground and you get to school, you'll feel successful at the end of the day if you do what? That's a great question to ask yourself. Now, again, I'm not telling you don't shoot to be valedictorian or get on the varsity team or get $100,000 in scholarships. Those are great things, but in order to get to the big goals, you have to take little steps every single day. So remember, don't set goals that are so far out there that if you don't achieve them, you're going to make yourself feel awful. And think about the little micro goals that you can plan, even down maybe to the hour or the class period, that are going to help you be successful and take tiny steps toward achieving your big goals. If you are someone who loves discussing success like I do, I have a free Getting Into College guide that walks you step by step through the process of researching your college all the way through final acceptance. It's my free gift to you because I believe in you and I want nothing but the best for you. So go ahead and check the link in the comments below and get access to that free checklist so that you can achieve your college dreams. Again, my name is Justin Collar with Thrive Success Services. Don't just exist, thrive.